has ever played on the defensive line in the NFL history, agrees to terms on a 2-year, $31 million deal that is $23 million guaranteed, probably more than most people thought Watt would get. That is the value of J.J. Watt, a big-time leader and one of the new faces of the Arizona Cardinals franchise. Of course, they seem to come out of nowhere, but we should have known because Vance Joseph, who coached J.J. Watt in Houston, is the defensive coordinator. He was a big-time part of this process in trying to get J.J. Watt to Arizona. And now Watt, who's going to play in basically the same defense he did in Houston, joins former teammate DeAndre Hopkins, going to be a nice reunion there, and gets to play opposite Chandler Jones in what could be one of the best sack tandems in the NFL. Either way, J.J. Watt now has a new home, and the Arizona Cardinals believe they got a lot better.
Thank you so much, Ian. It's very exciting here now. Okay, Kyle, Arizona did miss the playoffs last year, but I do think that they're a team that is very much ascending still. They're very much in the conversation. Does the addition of J.J. Watt make the Cardinals a contender in the NFC? Not the NFC West, the NFC.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to get into it, and I just want to address a couple of the takes from the knee-jerk nation yesterday that I did not like. J.J. Watt grabbed the money. Of course he grabbed the money. That's an incredible deal that he just scored for a guy on the back nine with a bunch of big surgeries in his back. And guys, I don't know if you know this, it turns out not a lot of people are fans of unpaid internships. He wants to be paid and paid really well for his job. Also, the other take, he doesn't want to play for a contender, I get. What exactly does the contender label even mean? It is this nebulous word we throw out in the offseason that is based completely on the past. It's just regurgitating last season. We're at a time of the year where these contenders are just looking at last year. Of course I think Arizona can be a contender. They're really talented. If you had sat at the table a year ago and said, I think the Bills are going to be in the AFC title game, I think the Browns are going to beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs, you would sound idiotic. So yes, I think they can, because this supposed gauntlet in the NFC West, let's just look around it for a second, guys, as J.J. Watt joins that division. We have the Niners, who have a very shaky quarterback situation at best and a guy who can't stay healthy. You have the Rams quarterback, who's never won a thing in his life. And you have the Seahawks quarterback, who might not even be there and is just talking about how much he's tired of getting hit, and now this happens. So yeah, I think they can be a contender, and I think JJ agrees with me.
Yeah, I hear you on that. The contender take is that, oh, well, he took the money and he didn't really go to a contender. What's the definition of a contender? Person, a group of people trying to compete for something. That's it, simply. You're just competing for something. And does this team compete? Yeah, there were moments last year in the beginning of the season where the Arizona Cardinals are competing. And we were thinking to ourselves that the NFC West was one of the most loaded divisions in all of football. And one of the main reasons we were saying that is because AZ looked really good and they were, quote unquote, competing and contending in the beginning of the year. Of course, they had some things that they needed to fix. Kyler Murray seems like he hit a little bit of a wall at the end of the year. That's all perfectly fine. Now, when it comes to this defense, the reason that he chose this team is because it's needed. Now you add him with Chandler Jones, and Chandler Jones has been fantastic. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the fact that Chandler Jones is an absolute monster.
Superstar.
Since 2012, who's had more sacks than J.J. Watt? Chandler Jones has. So now you have this dynamic duo. Just check out these numbers right here. 97 sacks, and then J.J. Watt right behind him. So these two guys, who are at the later part of their career, are now together on the same defense. Oh, and not to mention, Hassan Reddick actually led the Arizona Cardinals last year with 12.5 sacks. He's set to be a free agent. So there's a specific reason why he chose the Arizona Cardinals, and the Arizona Cardinals paid J.J. Watt.
Chandler Jones, great player. How many games did he play last year?
Not a lot.
How many? 5 games.
Okay.
Tore his biceps.
Yeah.
J.J. Watt, great player. How many games did he play last year? A lot. Yeah. Injured a lot. I mean, all right. Hassan Reddick's a free agent. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick's their best young defensive player. He's a free agent. He's not.
That's why they signed J.J. Watt. He's a free agent.
Patrick Peterson.
Have a void, fill a void.
Patrick Peterson, good player, right? Free agent. All right. Budda Baker, great safety. I feel like we get wrapped up in names and say this, but then really when you get down to it, are the Cardinals going to be that much better than they were last year when they lose all this talent? We don't know what Chandler Jones is. We don't know what J.J. Watt is. I don't want to get caught in the moment. And that's fair that you're saying that, hey, all these other things you could poke holes into, but I don't know if they're not still the 4th best team in their own division. San Francisco's a team that's coming off all the injuries, and they get back Bosa, and they get back Solomon Thomas, and they get back a quarterback. And look, Arizona had a shot at the end. They lost to a terribly injured 49ers team at home on a Saturday afternoon game that aired on Amazon, and maybe not everyone saw it, but it was one of the worst efforts you saw. And then week 17, Kyler goes down with an injury, and they're looking at each other, and the Rams with Walford run all over him and beat him. So I'm sorry if I'm not saying they're a contender yet. I don't even know if they're a contender in their division right now. I like J.J. Watt, but I would just say pump the brakes. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Green Bay, because of J.J. Watt, are we suddenly saying this team is going to go on a run just like the Bucs did, or that this team can go into Lambeau and beat Rodgers? I hate to be the bearer of bad news or be the wet blanket. Slow down.
You were driving the Arizona Cardinals car last year.
Yeah,
now you're telling us to pump the brakes?
Yeah, because I saw what happened at the end of the season. And when I'm hearing things like, well, this team's... Russell Wilson's unhappy. Russell Wilson versus Arizona, I think... Call it like it is right now if you have to pick the game. If it's starting tomorrow, are you taking Kyler and J.J. Watt and those guys over Russell Wilson and those guys just because J.J. Watt's on the team?
Yeah, I'm kind of over Seattle. Yeah. It's also this time of year is about picking something that you believe in going forward. And I don't think J.J. Watt turns them into the 92 Cowboys. I think it's believing in Kyler. And I think it's looking at Arizona and being like, you guys have to make the playoffs this year. Cliff, let's go.
Yeah.
You just added a really good piece.
Chandler Jones has something to say about your Russell Wilson 2 times a year now. He tweeted yesterday, of course, like this is a guy who's an unbelievable player, averaging over 16 sacks per year in 3 seasons prior to getting hurt and missing all of those games last year. Feel bad for my guy, Russell Wilson, up there in Seattle. I ask you, Nate, because I'm pumping my brakes. I don't like to get too excited about things. You have kept it so real on players with injuries, whether it's Andrew Luck, whether it's Cam Newton, and you've talked about J.J. Watt over the past couple of years. What do you think we're going to see vintage performances from him that warrant sort of what you're saying? What do you think J.J. Watt's going to look like on a new team?
I think he's going to look fantastic. Here's the thing. He's not going to go out there and have to play 100% of the defensive snaps.
Okay.
We're talking about a guy that will start and then be in the rotation.
Paid quite a lot of money to not be out there a lot.
Arizona did their research. You think J.J. Watt just sat at his crib and was like, hey, I feel good, I look good, I don't have to do a physical, pay me all of the money I want? No. They did exactly what they needed to do. And here's the thing. As much as you thought that DeAndre Hopkins was a really good wide receiver with the Houston Texans, did you think it was going to work out like it did? No. He overexceeded expectations when he signed with the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe that J.J. Watt will too.
I will say this. I think when there's 2 pass rushers, Peter, that are really high caliber, that might get the best out of J.J. J.J. had 16 sacks in the 2018 season with Clowney there. Clowney left, and he didn't get back to double-digit sacks since in these past 2 years when he hasn't been dealing with injuries as much. So maybe, you know, we will see some vintage performances from J.J. Triggs, will your mind change if the Arizona Cardinals do spend in free agency? Do you want to wait and see what they... I mean, they've got money to spend.
This was their big spend.
This was it?
This was it. I mean, this is the bulk of it. This is a huge contract. I hope it works out, and I hope that JJ can take them to that next level, because maybe that is the missing piece, the leadership quality of it, because last year...
Don't walk it back, Peter. You just scored 12 a couple minutes ago.
To hear, you know, Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt being compared to Shaq Barrett and Devin White, I just can't yet. This is not vintage.